Hi guys, I'm just making this video to first of all discuss the ecology assignment that you've been given and what I'm expecting, and I'm also going to show you an example of an A grade for this particular assignment so that if you're aiming for an A grade, you'll know what to do. Okay, so basically with this assignment what you're going to be doing is choosing an ecological problem. Now I've given you a list on the sheet, but you can choose something else if you want. Maybe just check with me so that we know it's something that's you can sort of write about. Just note that on this list, there's a few there that have a star next to them. Those ones with a star are actually covered in chapter 10 of the textbook in some detail. So it might be worth choosing one of those if you think you're going to struggle to find information. Okay, let's have a look at the report requirements. So that's in this big box here. So you're going to use ICT, so that means you're going to be writing this on a computer. So that means information computer technology. You're going to write an individual report, so you're going to do it individually, you're not working on this together. And the maximum is 800 words. Now that doesn't mean you have to write 800 words, it just means that's probably about the most that I want to read. If you're looking for a minimum, you should probably be looking at least 50% of that, so at least 400 words to get a passing grade. Now the assignment's got two parts. So in the first part you're going to do an information report. So an information report means you're giving the reader information. So you're describing the problem, including the cause of the problem, so how this thing actually happened. And then I want you to try and bring in some of the scientific concepts that we've talked about in class, like maybe the carbon cycle or the nitrogen cycle or the matter and energy cycle. The second part of the assignment is what we call an exposition. So an exposition doesn't necessarily give just information, it actually has an argument. So in the exposition, I want you to argue why it's important for us to address the problem. And you could, as part of that, talk about how the problem could be addressed. So the first half of the assignment is sort of scientific and you're just giving information. The second half, you're getting passionate and fired up and making an argument. So it's worth choosing a topic that you're happy to sort of argue for. So choose something that, you know, that makes you interested and makes you sort of feel passionate. Okay, and if we look down the bottom here, there's some other requirements. So you need to include a bibliography, and included in that, I want you to pick one of your sources and just write a few sentences evaluating its age and relevance and accuracy. So just basically saying how useful that source was. We are going to use appropriate language, conventions and representations. So this means basically using scientific language, not saying, you know, YOLO or something like that. So using scientific language. And then this last thing here is about a website called turnitin.com. Now, if you haven't used that before, this basically analyzes your assignment, checks it against all of these other assignments in its database and makes sure that you have written everything in your own words. And it gives you a similarity rating, and I want that to be about under 30%, okay? So only 30% of your essay can be similar to other stuff that people have written. And you can always submit it, check, and then resubmit it if you need to. So it's really important that you write this assignment in your own words. And like I say there, we are going to do some work on that in class so that you know a really good method for doing that. If you finish your assignment a few days early at least, I'm able to give you some feedback either during class, or if you send it to me via email, I can have a look at your assignment and give you some feedback. So that's really important, particularly if you're looking for quite a high grade. It's good to get some feedback. And just that last point there, I don't do hard copies for this particular assignment. You have to submit it through Turnitin to do the originality check. Okay, so that's the assignment. Let's have a quick look at an example from last year. Now this got an A grade, so it's quite a good one. And this student did their report on Botany Bay pollution. So that's one of the topics that's in the textbook, so that's probably a good choice. So if we just flick through it quickly, so they've done 1 page roughly for their part A, which is the information report. And then they've done a second page with their exposition, so this is their argument. And then on their last page, they've done their bibliography. And I'll get to that in a minute. I think they needed to do some more detail in this bibliography, particularly with the evaluation. But let's just go back to the first page and have a quick look. So they've got an introduction here. Now, in the introduction, they've given some general information about Botany Bay. So this is all just about Botany Bay. And they're saying, it's been polluted and it's been caused by a number of factors. So the introduction's very general. And then they've said, it's affecting marine life, the community, and the cleanup's still happening. So this is last sentence here. That's sort of leading into the rest of the essay. Okay. Now, if we go down a bit further, they've basically written 3 paragraphs after that. So the first paragraph talks about what has caused the pollution. So that keyword there is caused by a number of factors. The main cause, and they've sort of described what happened there. Then what they've talked about in the next paragraph is the effects of the pollution. And in particular, in this paragraph, they've talked about the effect on marine and wildlife and the effect on people, so about this housing and residential living. If we go down to the last paragraph of their part A, they've actually talked about the extent of the pollution. So it's all about how much land has been affected by it. So they've talked about, the groundwater and the soil bacteria. So this paragraph is all about the effect on the land. Okay. So let's just go down and have a look at their exposition. So remember the first part was all about information. Now they're making an argument. So you can see now they're starting to use words like an important issue that needs attention. It's affecting the town of Botany Bay. It's taking far too long and is drastically unaddressed. So they're getting quite passionate in this part of the essay. And so what they've talked about in each of their arguments here, so they've basically said that it never should have happened, and that there was a lack of care from authorities. So again, getting a bit passionate. And if we go down a bit further, they've talked again about the effect on the wildlife and the community. But this time, instead of just giving the scientific factors, they've sort of used argumentative words. So they've said their beautiful bay took a hard knock. They don't have to be as scientific. Down here, they've been talking about how long it took for the cleanup to start. So that's what this paragraph is all about. This situation is hidden in shame. So they again, not using necessarily scientific language. And then last of all, they've made their closing arguments. They're saying that manufacturing chemical companies should not be allowed to situate their plants anywhere near water supplies or townships. And they've summed it up using Botany Bay as an example. Okay, so you can see there they've included a lot of detail overall. It's quite well written and easy to follow. And this was quite a good example. I think it did get an A-, and that's probably mainly because this bibliography didn't have enough information. Okay, I hope that is useful, and good luck with your assignment. Please see me if you need help with it. Thanks.